Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be replacing this AC unit on this RV. As you can see, this roof needs lots of attention, but resealing is going to be a separate video, and this video is just going to be replacing the AC unit. And as you guys know, I love my Recpro units. I actually have another video on how to replace an AC unit that is a non-ducted unit. So this one is actually going to be a ducted unit. I've had several requests on the difference between installing the two. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, this is what your old air conditioning unit is going to look like. Basically, you'll take that cover off and then you'll have a bunch of wiring and some screws. So essentially, you're going to take out all the screws that you see. There's going to be one in each corner where the wiring is, and then there's also going to be probably a cover you'll have to pop off, which you'll see me do in just a minute. And 2 screws are going to be hiding underneath those covers. It's like a little plastic tab just to kind of make it look nice. Now, this part specifically, there's little tabs. So there's actually going to be a whole bunch of wiring in here. Some of it might be a little different. This one actually had the 120 volt wires, which is what you're going to need for the new AC unit. There's also going to be possibly some 12 volt wiring, and then this one actually was connected to a thermostat. Some are not, but this one was connected to a thermostat. So you're going to have all the wiring for the thermostat up there as well. Something important to note, if you do have a thermostat that is controlled by this, and if you have a furnace that the thermostat is also controlled by, you're going to want to save some of that wiring up there. So you'll essentially need 2 wires that are up there to run and pretty much put a new thermostat, a heat-only thermostat, which you can find those on Amazon if you do have a furnace. So you'll essentially just want to find the wiring for your original furnace. It's pretty much going to be probably 2 blue wires coming from your furnace. You'll have to find those and connect them up to your new thermostat. So anyway, just keep that in the back of your mind when you're cutting all these wires and doing all that stuff with the wiring. Now, given that, all of that information, you actually don't need most of this wiring because the Recpro AC unit actually comes with a remote, which pretty much takes the place of the thermostat. So you don't need to wire a whole bunch of stuff. You really only need that 120 volt wire that I'm fixing to take out of this junction box right here. And again, make sure you do not have power going to your camper because you don't want to get shocked. So if you want to be safe, you can actually disconnect your battery and then 100% make sure that you are unplugged from shore power and you have no generator on, so there's going to be no power coming to these 120 volt wires. I don't reuse any wire nuts or anything like that, so that's why I am just cutting this, and I'm just going to start with a fresh piece of wire when I go to connect my new AC unit. And I'm not going to reuse this junction box right here, so I'm pretty much just going to put that in the trash along with the rest of the AC unit. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and take off the original thermostat that's right here, and you can see all those other wires that's dangling above my head that I'm going to rewire into the furnace. But for now, I'm actually going to put the remote to the AC unit. That's going to go right above where this thermostat is, and so it kind of just makes it easy. Also, I forgot, I don't know why I didn't record this. The button just didn't press, but there's a trim ring with 4 bolts, and that's essentially how you finish disconnecting the AC unit from the roof of the camper. So at this point, the AC unit is free, and so I can put my ladder up. There's many different ways to get the AC unit up and down. This is just my preferred method because I do not have an AC lift or a ladder lift. And so sometimes I just have to do things the hard way. And I would say I probably do this enough to invest in it, but they're so expensive for the ladder lifts. And I know I have one coming to me for free at the end of the year. So I'm just kind of waiting it out until then. Now, this is not the normal method that I get these units up. As you can see, I'm going to fail twice before my neighbor jumps in to help me. Normally, I pretty much tie the box with some rope and I pull it up from the top of the roof, which always works really great, pretty quick. But it was in the morning and it is October when I'm doing this and the roof is very, very wet. So I was worried that if I did that, then I was going to slip and then everything would have just gone downhill. So this would have actually worked great, but at the top of my ladder, there's a pin and the bottom of the box kept getting stuck on the pin. So I needed somebody to just lift it up just a little bit to where I could push it all the way up to the top of the ladder. And that is exactly what ended up happening. My neighbor saw me and was like, Heather, do you need some help? And I was like, yes, I do, please. And so this is Dan. Dan comes and saves the day. He's an awesome neighbor. He's a lot like me when it comes to fun stuff, just a big kid all around. And anyway, great neighbor to have. So that saved me so much time when Dan came and helped me. And now I can keep going. So at this point, you see the AC unit just kind of comes right up. And I have actually, I think I did pressure wash the roof at this point, but obviously I cannot get underneath the AC unit, and I didn't want to put a whole bunch of water on the roof and have it get inside the hole. So I chose to clean it after the AC unit was pulled up. So right now, I actually like to reuse some of these pieces. So Recpro really packs these things in great, which is fantastic. That top cardboard piece right there, I'm actually going to lay the old AC unit on top of because it makes it easy to move around the roof without scratching it. And then, actually, no, I did that backwards. The new AC unit, I put the new AC unit on the cardboard piece, and then the old AC unit I'm going to put in the box and full send it down the ladder, and that is probably my favorite part. I cannot stand some of these RV technicians who literally just throw the AC unit off the roof because it makes a mess. It's just, it's not my thing. So I put it back in the box and I kind of wiggle it over on top of the ladder and then I just push it down. And this box is sturdy enough to where when it hits the ground, it bounces back a little bit, but everything kind of stays together. So it's just really easy to do it that way versus just being messy and throwing it off the ladder. All right, now comes the cleaning time because I'm sure this part of the roof has not seen the light of day in probably 30 years. So here we are. Just lots of cleaning. This is water and soap pretty much. So I'm kind of scrubbing it first and then I actually end up getting the whole thing wet and leaving it for a little bit. And then I come back and I have some plastic scrapers that I kind of just scrape all of the gunk off with. And as you can see, now I'm coming with my plastic scraper because there's just so much buildup on this roof. And granted, it's not like anybody is going to know what's underneath this roof. Actually, I say that, but you guys know what's underneath this roof because you've seen it now. And so I just think it's nice for it to be clean. And it's also slightly embarrassing when some people don't clean under the roof because it's such a simple thing to do. And I don't know, I don't know. I prefer it to be clean. So that's where we are. Okay. So we're cleaning it up. And then after it's nice and clean, I can go ahead and scoot the new AC unit in the hole. So I pretty much just get it close and then I go from the inside and I can maneuver it a little bit from the inside. And a little side note, because I did figure this out, so the ducted and non-ducted units are not interchangeable like I originally thought they were. So I thought that pretty much the unit itself was the same, and then it was the panel on the inside that was going to be different, but apparently they've changed the way they've designed it, and so there are two entirely separate products now. So this is specifically the ducted unit, and I did order the non-ducted unit first because I could not, it was a whole story. It was a whole story. Anyway, lesson learned. There's clearly ductworks in here, which I thought was funny, but the unit that was on this before was a non-ducted unit, and it was, the ductwork was covered up in it. And so I was like, wait a second, this is weird. And I should have just looked beforehand, but whatever. We're done, over with. We are doing the ducted unit now, okay? Okay, so next thing is next. We need to go ahead and cut the airflow separator right here. And so there is actually a side that you're supposed to cut. And so I essentially stuck it in there. I used a pencil and kind of marked where or how thick it needed to be, because all your roof thicknesses are going to be different. So just make sure that you measure, and then I just cut it with a razor blade. Make sure you're cutting it at the right end. It does say which end to cut it on, so just pay attention to that. And then there's a little channel in here that it kind of just sits in. And that actually worked out perfectly. I cut it a little shorter than my original measurement the first time. And then I went back and was like, oh, if I would have just gone with my original measurement when I stuck it up in the roof, it would have been perfect. Now I included this part in case anybody else has this issue. This was a very, very tight fit for this RV. So I think this was only a tight fit because this RV has a carpeted ceiling. And when they have the carpeted ceiling, it essentially has glue and extra carpet on the corners. And so I had to go and I had to cut off all the extra carpet and all the extra glue, and then it fit perfectly. All right, so that black thing that you see up on the ceiling is called the plenum mounting bracket. Okay, so essentially that goes up in there. There is a piece of wiring. You see that gray dangling wiring that hangs down. You clip that into the actual AC assembly itself. There's like a little retractable wire that's up there. Okay, so all of that hooks together. It's just one wire that snaps together. Now, when you secure the bolts to the plenum assembly, I actually hand twist them in first and then use my drill to tighten them in there. When you tighten this together, it's important to, one, not tighten it too much, and two, don't tighten it not enough. So essentially, you want to compress that bracket or that foam gasket enough to where it's watertight, but not enough to where it essentially squeezes that gasket and it loses its waterproof ability, if that makes any sense at all. So it's really kind of one of those finesse things to where not too tight, but not too loose. Okay, last but not least, you're going to assemble the plenum bracket to the plenum assembly. So the assembly is the white thing. You're going to secure those two things together with the screws that are provided. I think they were in the same bag with the remote. So go ahead and make note of that. And that is essentially it. The airflow return grill kind of snaps back on there, and then you can go ahead and put the remotes or the battery in the remote. And then I actually mounted the remote kind of where the original thermostat was, and turn your power back on and make sure it works. The only thing I will say is make sure that your wires are all connected. I don't know if I actually touch base on that, but it's essentially just the black goes to the black, the white goes to the white, and then the copper goes to the copper. So just make sure that you have wire nuts on all of those, the correct size. I like to use the yellow ones. And then I secure the wire onto the actual frame of the camper. And that is essentially it. So let me know if you guys have any questions or if you think I missed something. And yeah, thanks for watching.